Okay, tell me. Hello again. So it's the second week of September and it's the end of the gardening season here in Calgary. Well, close to the end of the gardening season. So by this time, temperature starting to drop, and I think we just had the last warm weekend over the weekend. So that means a lot of our plants that are not made for winter will probably go. So, what we wanted to share with you in this video is how did our gardening for the first year that we are here in Calgary go? How did it go? Okay, so first, what plants really did well? Okay, so I think what we could say is the kale that you could see here, the kale really did well. So we planted them in May. So at that time, it was still a bit colder. Temperature probably is 20s, or it doesn't go as high as 30s. So the kale, they grew really well. We had several harvests from the kale, but I think it was in July or August when temperature was really high. Um, some of them are a bit dying or close to dying. But when the temperature dropped again, now we can see that they're very lush. So aside from the kale, in our garden bed outside, we also have corn. We planted 3 corns, but 2 of them were eaten by something. So we still don't know whether they are squirrels
Yeah,
or
someone in the
hare.
Calgary gardening
So
group mentioned it could be squirrels.
yeah, because apparently squirrels like the roots of young corn. So yeah, so only one survived. And we actually had a corn cob. So we had an ear of a corn, but like what is said, like for corns, it should be planted in blocks because the pollens from one corn, will pollinate the ears for the other in the other plant. So since we only had one, we didn't have like proper pollination. So yeah, so our corn didn't really turn out as what we were hoping for. We also have strawberry here, and we also have other strawberries inside. That one we managed to get like several fruits, but for this one, yeah. So as you can see, the fruit's still very tiny, like raisins. I don't think. Oh, and what happened?
It came out.
No, and this is dry, so it means that something broke it off from the main stem. Yeah, so I didn't break it off. Okay, so nothing. No strawberry from this plant then. Yeah, so for this small plot of land, we planted several. So we have potatoes, and it's looking like it's ready for harvest because it's turning yellow. So we have one there. We have one here. They were cut because
Yeah,
when
this
the
was pretty annoying.
maintenance guys cleaned up, like had to mow the grass, they just mowed, didn't see whether there are plants there or none. So yeah, so this is what happened to our potatoes. We don't know if there will be potatoes underground, but we'll check that out. And we also have garlic, but these were planted late in the season, so I don't think we're gonna get much from this. So then we have two here, we have two here too, and these were the chives. We didn't really use much of the chives. We use a lot of the spring onions though. And here I'm excited about this. So this is the sweet potato. There was one plant when we bought it, but I divided them into two. This is sweet. Oops. I divided them into two, so it doesn't look like they've grown much, but hopefully there's something in there. And this is actually pretty amazing. So these are roses that we just planted here, and we thought that they died, but they just started growing. So that's pretty cool. And these are the mint. Because of the heat, it's flowering. And we didn't really use a lot of it, but I guess like for next year.
Yeah, at least we know it grows pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are the extra kale that we had. That bed, the other bed was already full, so the extra kale that we had, we planted it here. And yeah, they're still growing really well. And apparently kale tastes sweeter when it's cold and in the first, I think like let it subject it to the first frost. So let's see how it will taste like. We haven't had frost yet, I think, but okay, so inside in our patio, this is what we have. So we have wild rockets here. Actually, this did pretty well. It's just starting to flower because of the heat in the past few weeks. But yeah, every morning or when we do like sandwiches, I usually get something from that and then put it in our sandwiches. And I think among the plants, these are my favorites. These tomatoes, aside from the kale, these tomatoes were the, what do you call it?
One of
Best
our
performers.
success stories.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, but when we bought this was like a tiny, tiny plant. And look at how much it has grown. And the chocolate...
Explain the cage.
The cage. So this cage wasn't here when we started. All the tomatoes were just outside because we wanted them to get full sun. But what we noticed is that, so these tomatoes would usually turn orange or pink or red when they start to ripen. But before they ripen, once they turn orange, we'll lose them. We'll lose them from all the birds or the squirrel or whatever. So we decided, hey, we're planting them. So we also want to share the fruits. So we covered them with this cage. And yeah, I think we managed to harvest probably about 100. Because every week, or not even every week, sometimes like every other day, we'll get some. And yeah, they're very sweet and sour. It's actually a very nice. The taste is very good. So we still have some left, and I think probably this week we're gonna harvest this and then let them ripen inside in a box, because if it's gonna get cold, this plant might die. And the Manitoba tomato, these are heirloom tomatoes. But we were hoping that it will grow bigger than this, but it seems like this is the biggest that it could go. So, yeah, well, not that bad. We had probably 15, 15 fruits, so not a lot. So this is the one that had the most fruits. Oh, and this small one, it's called box Roma tomatoes. So it's meant to be small. We also had a lot of this. A lot of fruits from here. And then, okay, the Brussels sprouts. It's not growing. So what we did is we cut the top so that the energy of the plant will go towards growing these sprouts. So the ones at the bottom, they were the ones that appeared first. And yeah, they still look like raisins now, even after what? 2 months probably, they still look like raisins. But the ones on top, to be fair, they grew quite fast. They grew faster than the ones at the bottom. So I don't know if we're gonna have like a good sized Brussels sprouts by probably end of the month, before the first snowfall comes. Hopefully we'll have them by the end of the month. This is another variety of tomato. This was also very prolific. We got probably, I don't know, probably 50 fruits from this. And oh, there's a ladybug there. Hello. Oops, sorry, it fell. Yeah, so this was very prolific. And our basil, we have a lot of basil. So this is one set of basil. And then we have another set somewhere here. So there's another set of basil. It grew really, really well. I think we made about two sets. Do you call it?
Two batches.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we made 2 batches of pesto. And probably we need to make another one before they die. And the thyme grew really well. The purple sage also grew really well. The peppers. So for the peppers, so we bought this. This is really interesting. So we bought it in a private nursery, and when we bought it, it was just a bit bigger than this, or probably the same size. So they started around the same size, but what we did, we planted one here. So with a bigger container, it could grow bigger. This one didn't grow at all. But it still bore some fruit. I think it had about 3 or 4. This one had a lot of fruits and had a lot of leaves. It's just that I pruned them because we're trying to we're gonna try to overwinter them. It means we're gonna bring it inside the house and hope that they survive the winter so that we'll still have them next season. And this is another pepper. We harvested several already. This is really interesting because it was really this short. It didn't grow at all, but it had several fruits, probably about 10 like of this size, and some are even bigger. Now for the flowering plants, our favorite are the violas. So for the violas, they flower when it's a bit colder. So they flowered like at the start of the summer and now when it's getting colder again. But in the middle of the summer, I think they were dying. This was flowering in the middle of the summer. This is calendula. But they're now dying. I don't know. And we have this. I don't know what kind of bugs are this. But yeah. So this probably might die. And this, I forgot what these are called, but they didn't really do well. They didn't flower much. The marigolds also did well. When it was really hot, it had a lot of flowers. So the parsley did well. And there was coriander here. We managed to harvest from the coriander several times. But one day, there were bugs all over it. And it bolted, so I just remove the plant from here so that it won't infect our parsley and our rosemary. Our rosemary didn't grow. I don't know what we were doing wrong. So this is like full sunlight. It gets full sunlight, but yeah, it did grow. And the romaine lettuce, they're almost dead. But before they reach this state, like, yeah, we managed to get a few. So this is how much we managed to harvest from that. Yeah, so that's it. So thanks for following our gardening journey this year and hope to see you again next year.